People are trying to make big money on Trump's rogue international strategy. Because after the United States bombed Venezuela and captured Maduro, prediction markets show increasing odds that Trump will take other drastic actions abroad. Right on Kalshi, bets that Trump will buy or take control of some part of Greenland are up compared to a week ago, as are bets that Trump will take back the Panama Canal. And while those predictions still only hover in the 30% range, when you consider that they were just at 16% a week ago, that's pretty significant. Right, and all of this, it comes as at least one person made big money on the US's actions in Venezuela. Right, a relatively new anonymous Polymarket account started by placing its first small bets on US intervention there on December 27th. And over the course of the following week, that trader increased its bets on Maduro not being in power by the end of the month, something that seemed very much against the odds. And then their last wager was placed at 10 p.m. Eastern on Friday, just before the operation was announced. And by that time, the trader had put $34,000 in wagers on this, most of which were shortly before the operation, and which ended up landing them over $400,000 in profit. And so you've got a lot of people looking at that and going, okay, no one's timing is that perfect. Right? Is this person inside of the administration? Did they know something? And you've got an executive of a financial reform advocacy group saying this particular bet has all the hallmarks of a trade based on inside information. And, while insider trading is a big legal no-no in the stock market, prediction markets are less regulated. They're technically not even legally considered gambling. And while these platforms, they have policies to prevent insider trading, this is far from the only controversy of this nature. Last year, a Polymarket user made almost $1 million after correctly winning 22 out of the 23 bets on what Google's most searched topics of the year would be. And all of this, it's a massive can of worms in general, but there are also a lot of specific concerns when it comes to placing bets on politics. You can put money basically on anything, like who's most likely to leave the Trump administration in the next 2 years, if Americans will get tariff stimulus checks, who will be the Democratic candidate in 2028, and how long Caroline Leavitt will speak during press briefings. And I bring up that last one because that is something that has gained a lot of attention on Twitter lately. But some of what people bet on here is pretty complicated, right? Especially when you look at the foreign affairs bets that are booming right now. And there you have Bloomberg explaining prediction markets thrive on binary outcomes, while geopolitical reality rarely fits cleanly into yes or no. And adding traders can bet on overlapping questions. Did the US invade? Did troops enter? Was a leader removed? That all track the same event but resolved differently. And a lot of this, it brings us to the question of, well, will the United States be working swiftly to regulate this industry? And no. Or I guess to hedge my bets, let's say, don't hold your breath. Right, there is a House Democrat introducing legislation addressing insider trading among government officials on prediction markets, and Kalshi has said that it would support this. But the Trump administration is probably not eager to regulate this space. Right, because just before Trump took office last year, his son, Trump Jr., landed a role as Kalshi's strategic advisor. And that, as his venture capital firm previously invested in Polymarket. And Trump himself actually announced that Truth Social would be launching Truth Predicts, which will allow people to place crypto bets on events in sports, politics, and more. And so, there are a lot of people that see some or all of that as a major roadblock to regulation, with one professor saying, it would be helpful if prediction market platforms themselves do not have political ownership. We need them to be invested in weeding out bad activity like insider trading without any distracting influences. And so instead of things maybe getting reeled in, you have some reports suggesting that this kind of betting, it's set to boom with the midterms. And with that, you have places like NPR saying, critics of the apps worry that turning election results into casino-like wagers could encourage wealthy donors to make bets that could artificially inflate one candidate's odds on the apps. And saying that, in turn, could fuel the candidate's momentum, lead to a bump in news coverage, and even influence voter behavior. And then there are also concerns about how foreign actors could use these markets to execute their agendas. But again, these markets are very likely not going to be going anywhere. They're just becoming more and more universal. Kalshi is even partnering with major news outlets like CNN and CNBC to offer its betting wagers in their news coverage. Right? And so lately, if you tune into CNN talking about Greenland, you'll see them discussing how people are betting on Kalshi on that subject. And as the CEO of Kalshi previously said, the long-term vision is to financialize everything and create a tradable asset out of any difference in opinion. And while with all this, of course, I'd love to know your thoughts, opinions, and reactions just to share here. Well, I am someone that likes to gamble myself from time to time, though I also don't take any gambling sponsorships anymore, even fantasy football stuff. I think these sites, I think the idea of turning everything into gambling, it's not just a moral rot on our country. I think it is going to ruin generations to come. For some of the reasons others have mentioned in the coverage today, as well as numerous others I've ranted on in my other podcasts.